Architecture students don't sleep, right? From the number of comments and memes I see saying how architecture students are these walking, barely talking zombies that work all through the day and all through the night, one might think that architecture students don't sleep. This might even put one off from studying architecture or making architecture their career path because they're getting put off from all of this talk about not sleeping, pulling all-nighters, and there are so many architecture students out there saying how sleep is this thing that's so unheard of to them. Well, I want to tackle one of the world's greatest cliches, this idea of architecture students not getting any sleep. Because is this what architecture students are really like? Do we really not sleep? The short answer is we are actually humans, so yes, we do sleep, believe it or not. But with that out of the way, I do want to talk about the importance of sleep as an architecture student and also 5 tips that will help you get more of it. I'll also be answering the specific question of do architecture students sleep with my own experiences, and I'll be going through that later throughout this video. I asked my Instagram page for other architecture students and their thoughts on this idea of not getting any sleep. Hey guys, I'm just working on my Revit file here for architecture and technology, and I'm wondering, what do you guys hate the most about architecture school? And so I'm going to be sharing over 140. I'll be going through 140 of those responses I got and trying to get the best ones. So stick around the whole video. Let's get into it. According to Medical News Today, it's scientifically proven that sleep has links to brain functions such as concentration, productivity, cognition. This is just something that's well known. I don't really need to cite medical information on this. It's just well known that sleep has links to brain functions. And a more recent 2015 study shows that sleep has a direct impact on a student's behavior and also their academic performance. Well, if architecture students need to do all this deep thinking as they're doing this high concentration work, you would think they would need sufficient sleep to be good at what they're doing. In fact, according to, let me get this right, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, students that pull all-nighters are more likely to have a lower GPA, scientifically speaking. I think that's enough statistics about the importance of sleep. You guys know it's important, and architecture students know it's important, but why don't we get sleep? Why do we not get as much sleep as we need? Why is this idea and this culture behind all-nighters, why is this a thing prevalent in architecture? Well, most of the time it's a cause of poor time management. And you know, architecture students, they've got a lot of this work and they've got a lot of big projects. It's kind of like exams, but in architecture school, you don't have exams. You just got a big project at the end. And so obviously and naturally, if you haven't done all your work during the semester, maybe it's a lack, or maybe it's just because you're being procrastinating, or maybe it's because you don't really know what's going on in class. Well, then naturally, you're going to leave everything to the last minute. And when you've got a massive project that's meant to be the result of or the product of a whole semester's worth of content, and you're pushing that into the last week, then yes, you might be staying up for some late nights, and that's just because you didn't manage your time properly. So I recently asked my Instagram, this is what I was talking about earlier, I asked, what do you hate the most about architecture school? And a lot of you said lack of sleep, and for those of you that have this problem, I asked, what advice do you have for others struggling with this? There were so many fantastic responses, but first I just want to give a shout out to my mate who said you can sleep when you die. And sure, you can sleep when you die, but you're just going to be dying a lot earlier because it's not a sustainable life doing all-nighters all the time. So don't have this mentality if you're in architecture school. So some general tips from Zulhimi, or Zul. I'm not too sure if Zulhimi is the way to say it, but Zul, he says to start early, plan what you want to do beforehand, execute it, and try not to slack too much. So Charlie Elise says organization, planning ahead, such as preparing food for a few days and setting realistic work goals. Now, this person has a Russian name, and as you might have seen in previous episodes, I don't know how to pronounce these, but this person says you need to take you need to relax and take a break sometimes, and that's completely true. Michelle says to try to finish your work consistently and do not procrastinate, which is important. So I thought this one was cool. This one was from Ella Trotter, and this says, to be more organized, I've learnt to only spend time on the details which can be seen. And this is kind of the idea of the 80-20 rule, where it's 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort you put in, or 20% of the things you spend your time on. So rather than spending all of your time on that last 20% of things that take up 80% of your time, spend a lot more of your time on the things that can actually be seen and that actually matter. Roger Kaboom says to start working a week before, and I think this is a little bit out of context, but such a big point to start working on your stuff before the due date. Or create due dates to be, a week before it's actually due. If you're a week ahead of everyone else, then you're going to look like you're the professional when really all it is that you're staying on top of the things before everyone else is getting there, and you're going to be the expert because you put in that extra weeks of effort. I really like this one. This one was from Carrier T57. I'm just going to say that. They say just take the time to sleep. You'll be more productive, and in the end, you'll have a better output compared to one produced by a zombie. And this is what I was talking about earlier, how architecture students are these walking, barely talking zombies that stay up all night. But that doesn't have to be the case if you follow all of these rules. Jacob Sobelman says it's all about time management, to start early, stay focused, and work hard. And then this is also really big as well, because Doug Plong says to learn to work a little bit at a time over a length of a project rather than doing it all at once. And that's this idea of where you've got a semester worth of work and you're trying to push it all into the last week. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to be the most enjoyable time of your life. I can tell you that from experience. But to really come to your tutors every week or every day with new content and just do a little bit every single day, do a little bit every single week at least, and then just always make sure you're progressing each time you see your tutor. Success in anything is really just this idea of consistent behavior. It doesn't matter if it's small or if it's really large steps. If you're just consistently taking steps in the right direction, then it's really going to help you get to where you want to be rather than just trying to take a massive jump and falling flat on your face. And then this one's a bit more dark and grim. Sayed says to all-nighters will continue, do them with your friends and suffer together. However, you shouldn't have to do all-nighters. It's really not necessary, and if you just manage your time, then it won't be a problem. And there are just so many more of these, but I might have to leave them for another video. Instead, I just want to wrap it up. I want to say the main kind of points taken away from all the students there was to start early, to be consistent, and to not do all-nighters apart from the ones that said to do all-nighters, which no, don't do that. And yeah, that's it. So now I've put together 5 tips for you to get more sleep or to not get less sleep, if that makes sense. So my first tip is to get 7 to 8 hours every night. And this is very general, but this is something that is so important. If you're not getting 7 to 8 hours every night consistently, you're really putting yourself in a bad position because, as you would have seen from before, not getting the right amount of sleep every night is going to just be detrimental on your health, on the work you produce. And in the long run, if you are doing all-nighters, it's just going to kind of be unproductive work. You're not going to be in your best maximum flow state where you're getting a lot of work done because you're going to be getting distracted, you're going to be getting tired, and really most of the time when you're doing an all-nighter, it's not 100% efficient work or productive work. Most of the time you're just gonna be staring at your screen just like a zombie, and you might be just scrolling through your phone because you're trying to procrastinate, because you're forcing yourself to be up. But instead, go to bed on time, wake up early. It's always a good suggestion. Wake up early and then start working on your stuff. Tip number 2 is to only use your bed for sleep. So don't sit in your bed on your laptop. Don't go eating dinner in your bed like some people do. I know that a lot of people, when they wake up, they just instantly grab their phone and start scrolling through it. Don't do that. That is a terrible habit. When you get up, go up, stretch, maybe do some activity, grab a glass of water, and start your day like that, rather than just instantly reacting to the stuff that's on your phone, scrolling through Facebook and looking at the news, getting bad information such as all the coronavirus taking over, how the US is going to crap right now. If you just instantly open up your phone and start scrolling through that, you're going to be thinking about that for the rest of the day, and it's going to put you in a bad mood for the rest of the day. So tip number 3 is to wake up at the same time every single day, and this includes weekends. It really is important to have a consistent routine, especially with your sleep and your study schedule as well. But really, to wake up at the same time every single day, it's important. It is so important. And if you're trying to make up for sleep or lost sleep on the weekends, that's also a bad thing to do. You're going to be stuffing up your body clock. So instead of waking up at 7 a.m, you start sleeping into 11. Well, then during the week, your body clock's just going to be back to feeling like it should be waking up at 11, and all through those first 4 hours of the day, you're going to be sluggish and zombie-like, architecture students, or this image of architecture students. Tip number 4, also very general, no caffeine in the afternoon. I'm going to leave it at that. Don't drink caffeine, or don't drink coffees or have any caffeine in the afternoon, because you're going to be up all night and you don't want that. And tip number 5, so important, to relax before sleeping. You know, I get it, you're going to be working on a project all night, and then just before going to bed, or you get in bed and then you're trying to sleep, but all you can think about is solving problems and trying to rethink your design and stuff like this. But you know, if you just spend 15-20 minutes just reading or just doing some yoga or whatever you want to do just to wind down and relax, it's going to be going to get you asleep a lot faster, and it's going to get you better sleep when you are asleep. And so if you find yourself in this situation where you're just constantly thinking about your project while you're trying to sleep, what I like to do is when I finish studying, I'll just start to write out what I'm up to. So I'll just write down, just finished floor plan, need to work on this next. And so just by writing down what I'm up to, it means that I can come in the next day and just instantly get to work. And, I can go to bed knowing that there's nothing I have to do tonight because I've already just written it down for tomorrow. So I think that's super important, just to wind down before sleeping. And if you need to write a list of what you need to do tomorrow, or then whenever you need to do it next. So do architecture students sleep is the question. Hopefully I've answered that for you now, but from my experiences, I tend to get 7 to 8 hours every night. Obviously there are some nights where I don't get my 7 to 8 hours, more like 5 to 6. That's usually the nights that I'm trying to get a video out, or I've been working my project, I'm really in my flow state, and I won't usually try to make up for that lost sleep in the morning. I usually try to wake up at the same time every day, which is around 6 o'clock, but obviously I'm not perfect. I can't always get 7-8 hours every night, and that's fine. However, I have never pulled an all-nighter because of architecture school. I've pulled some all-nighters when I was in primary school because I was up playing video games, but that's different. I've never pulled an all-nighter because of architecture school. I haven't had the need to do it. Maybe that's because I manage my time effectively. Otherwise, I know that there are students that do pull all-nighters, and you can see that they just wake up the next day and they feel like shit, and they'll be at their presentation and they'll just be mumbling all their words, and it's just not a good idea. You want to be able to manage your time so that you don't have to pull all-nighters, and if you lose a couple hours of sleep every night, not a big deal. Try to keep a consistent sleep schedule or routine, and definitely don't sleep in on the weekends. I hope that answers your question. Do architecture students sleep? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment. Catch you later.